Okay, hello. My name is Melica Martin-Finn. I'm a lecturer here at DMU and the founder and director of the Black Law Society, aka
Board Leaders Attaining Culture and Knowledge.
And you are?
I'm Wiktoria, Pulka. I'm a second year law student.
And also a leader in the Black Law Society. So is Isaac, who's just left, and Liam. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Liam. I'm just going into my second year of law now.
And also a leader here within the Black Law Society. These two students here with me today are leading, going forward with one of our division within the Black Law Society, and it's in relation to mooting, and we'll be mooting against universities in the States. Okay. So we're going to talk today about the gap within the gap and the need for exploring the diversional needs that's within the BME cluster. That's what we're talking about today. So just to give you an outline, we're just going to give you a little bit of a background context. The BME cluster, the one-size-fits-all approach, and this idea that we're saying that maybe we should be thinking about segregating the groups within the BME gap. And we're going to present on a case study where we've taken this approach of dealing with one particular group within the BME cluster, and that's Black Law students.
So just to give you some background context, in the years 2015 and 16, according to the Quality Challenge Unit, 78.8% of white qualifiers received a first or a 2-1, compared with only 63.2% of BME qualifiers, which is a 15.6% point gap. In 2016, the NUS has made a research, and it said that the most significant gap in the attainment between white and non-white students is found amongst black students. If we compare that with other ethnic minority groups, black students have the most significant gap, so they seem to be at the bottom of the list. Now, a more recent study has shown that white students are more likely to receive a first or 2-1, again, compared with BME students. So BME students' percentage has actually risen, but only by less than 3% since 2015 and 16. If we compare this with Chinese, Indian and mixed heritage students, Black African, Black Caribbean and those from other backgrounds, they're also less likely to receive a first or a 2-1. The BME attainment gap is particularly high for Black African, Black Caribbean and Black other. The percentages vary from 20.8% to 25.5%. This leads us to conclude that there is a gap within the gap. If you look at more research statistics, if you compare Chinese students with black students, again, there's a 21.7% gap. Indian students, there's a 20.2%, and Pakistani students, there's a 11.3%. So black students are again at the bottom of the list.
So if we look at research context, you'll find that each group within the BME categorisation varies. You'll find that no two ethnicities categorised as ethnic minority within the UK have exactly the same experiences, challenges, expectations, aspirations and dreams. In view of these variations within the community, broadly categorised as BME, there remains a lack of evaluative research and policy initiatives, particularly designed to meet the needs of each group within the BME cluster. We often find that a one-size-fits-all approach is applied to tackle the attainment gap. Traditionally, initiatives and intervention activities to reduce the attainment gap are directed at the BME community as a whole, with little appreciation for diversity. This results in a lack of interest and engagement from BME students, rendering these initiatives pointless. There is compelling evidence demonstrating that the diversity within the BME community is a factor which requires consideration when adopting and implementing BME engagement activities.
So we're following on from Samina and Isaac, and we're saying we can't have this one-size-fits approach. And we're trying to use this picture, and they say a picture say 1,000 words, so hopefully it's illustrated what we're trying to say. For example, we've got here a first election, everybody must take the same exam, but everybody can't take the same exam in this picture that we've got here. It's just not working. This one-size-fits-all approach is something that's not actually working, and we've seen that here. We've tried to put on intervention for students here, BME students here, and they don't get involved in it because it says BME. And people just don't get involved in that. Sheffield University did the same thing. They tried to do a co-creation, creation of confidence, and BME students didn't get involved in it either. So we know that it's just not working. When we did it here, when we tried to do a BME intervention here for creation, co-creation event for the curriculum, no student went. And then we did it through the Black Law Society, and we redesigned the poster, and a lot of students came. We had so many students that we had to turn away students. I turned away 31 students on the day. Some of our students, we don't even get 31 in some of our tutorials, and we were turning away 31 students. So we know that something is not right with the BME terminology. So what we're saying is this: we need a breakthrough. BME terminology is something that people are not engaging with. Just yesterday I had a conversation with 3 different black ladies about the BME gap. They didn't know what BME was. I said BAME. They still didn't know what it was. So people sometimes, they don't know what it was. They just don't go for it if there is something that the university puts on and says BAME or BME. Students are just not engaging. So we're saying we need to have some kind of breakthrough, and we need to get rid of this idea of BME. BME is now, the BME terminology has now become a barrier to student engagement. So this is what we've done. Go to the next slide. So we're saying there's time for a change. So introducing the Society of Black Law Students, aka
World Leaders Attaining Culture and Knowledge.
So the Society of Black Law Students, let's just go to it, is this, just to give you like a brief overview. It's a positive action intervention initiative that I started here at DMU. And the focus is really about one single group, and it's Black Law student. That being said, any student can join. You don't have to be black, but we're targeting Black Law student. But any students can join. For example, Wiktoria, Liam, and all our other students that are not black, that are involved in the Black Law Society. It's an academic-led intervention. We have 8 student leads. Victoria and Liam are 2 of the student lead, and so is Isaac. And our initiative that we do in the Black Law Society gets the students there. We host meetings. We started off by having meetings every 2 weeks. The student demanded that we change it to every week, so we change it to every week. And we're involved in projects to do with knife crime. This is affecting the black community. In a few weeks' time, we hope to have our first knife crime summit within the Black Law Society. We're also joining force with another sort of like group that we have here at DMU, which is another academic-led group that we have, and it's the street law, which is Arwin's department. And we're joining force to create and making sure that we have the first major intervention that we're going to do. The first major project that we're doing is the Knife Crime Summit, which is coming up in a few weeks. We're linking students in projects involving homelessness. We're also looking at the issues that affecting the BME gap. We're looking at curriculum decolonization and lots more that we're doing in the Black Law Society. So what we saw from that is this. When we reflected upon what we see, the attendance was absolutely amazing. Participation and engagement was so good that if a student didn't come to a meeting and they saw me in the street, for example, one student saw me in Poundland before it closed down, I was hiding. I was like looking around to see if anybody knew me in Leicester, to see me going in Poundland. Didn't see anybody know me. I thought, it's all right, I can go in. I walked in, I heard somebody say, Mel. I thought, that's not me. Melica. I thought, it's not me. Mel, Melica. I thought, yeah, that's definitely me. I turned around and it was a student member from the Black Law Society. And she wanted to know what was happening. What did she miss because she didn't come? And I was telling her right there in Poundland with somebody buying bleach, stretching across us buying bleach. And there we are having a meeting. I said to her, you're asking me about Black Law Society, but you were supposed to be in contract. I had you in contract. You didn't come. She goes, yeah, but I don't want to know about that. I just want to know about what did I miss from Black Law Society. So I went back to the student and I say, why do you come every week? Why are you asking for this? Why are you here? And this is what they say. They get the sense of belonging within the Black Law Society. They feel a sense of ownership because the project that we're doing, they can relate to it. And they feel like they're getting respect within the Black Law Society. Their views and opinions are respected. They have a voice, so they keep coming. So Want to go on?
So conclusively, we found that the underachievement of black students in education is a real and persistent concern. Gaps are emerging within the gap due to the current one-size-fits-all approach. We would recommend that universities explore methods which accommodate the diversity that exists within the BME cluster.
So this is our picture trying to illustrate that one size doesn't fit all. I was going to try and use myself, but I thought, no, just get somebody else. So what we're saying is, I think Sheffield University, when they did the project on creation with confidence, they concluded, because the BME student didn't get involved, they kind of concluded that the BME student group is a group that is hard to reach. I feel like this is a bit harsh. I don't really feel as if it's true on the one hand. On the other hand, it is sort of true. And this is what I mean. The intervention that we're doing, as we say, is kind of like a one-size-fits-all. So it's kind of failing. It's failing the group that is designed to engage with. We're saying, make your intervention target-specific. Know your audience. As we heard from the presentation before, every group within the BME sector is different and varied. Different experiences, different dream. Black students and Asian students, they are like worlds apart. There is some similarity. The differences are worlds apart. And when you take into consideration as well, family support, especially if you take into consideration black students and Asian students doing law, the Asian family are most likely to say, law is a good career, something good for you to go down. But with the black student, particularly from Jamaican heritage, you say you want to do law, and you have somebody like my grandmother that says, no, 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 because law is the devil's subject. She always come out with that. That is something that you shouldn't go down because all lawyers are liars. So there is no support in some cases. So that needs to be taken into consideration. We actually need to look at each grouping within the BME cluster and say, okay, how can we actually target one particular group? Samina was saying, don't let the students be targeted. But we're kind of saying, target the groups. But we're doing it in a different way. Yeah. We're saying, separate them in order to integrate, if that makes sense. So we kind of understand that in order to do that, to kind of dismantle BME terminology, to do that, to create intervention that's going to meet the needs of everybody within the BME, what we're saying is, we know it's going to be difficult. The first thing that we're saying is, get rid of the BME terminology. It's not fit for purpose. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, it's convenient. I know I find it. I was doing a poster and I was trying to call everybody. By the time I finished, I didn't have anywhere else to write anything on the poster. So I thought, BME, actually, this is a really convenient terminology. But students are not engaging with it. People on the street are not engaging with it. NHS are having problems with their workers engaging with the terminology BME. I'm a person who falls into the category of BME, and I don't want to associate with it. It's a label that I don't like. It suggests that black people and other ethnic minority people fall into this problem category. There are articles that says, how do we solve a problem like BME? And it's the way how it's intended is not the way how it's being perceived. So we're saying, get rid of the terminology. We're not offering a replacement because that would mean that we know better than the government. We just get up and form this category. We're saying there needs to be some kind of discussion around the BME terminology. It's not working, get rid of it.
Now, until we deconstruct this terminology, we need to think about engaging the students. So we need to understand the BME students. We need to tell them why it's a personal interest to us, because each student comes from a different background, they have different experiences, so they need to know that if we run an intervention or an event or anything and it's for them, that we actually understand them. We need to be clear about the purpose of the events, like with the posters, so they know that it's for them as well, and kind of tell them why should they come, why it will benefit them. Focus on their enhancement of their CV, how that's going to help them, how we can help them. and their interventions need to be multicultural. They need to fit the needs of everybody there. And of course, we can use BME students as consultants to get their advice, so they can give their voice, and one person will tell their friend, and their friend will tell their friends, and then we'll have everybody participating.
Mm-hmm. So if I can just pick up on that a little bit, just expand on it a little bit. When we say understand BME student, so for the most part, like Sweden says, interventions that's being done, it needs to be by people who are BME. We're not saying that it has to be by a black and Asian person just to reach black student. That's not what we're saying. What we're trying to say is, when you try to reach the student, let the student know why is it important to you, as opposed to having some poster that says the university is committed to closing the gap. That's not something that's sort of like a personal connection to you. Student more see it as your job. 20 years ago, nearly, we have lots of information about the commitment of universities and everywhere in sort of equal opportunity. That was the thing that was going around then, 20 years ago. But in 2019, we have a BME gap, that if equal opportunities was happening just 20 years ago when we hear all about that, we wouldn't have a BME gap now in 2019. Students know that. They don't want you to be telling them about the commitment of the university. Why is it important to you? And it needs to be more than, okay, I studied this, I read about it. Why is it interesting to you? Where your personal connection is in this area. For a black person or an Asian person, it's slightly obvious where it is. But even so, you still have to say, why is it interesting to you? That's what I did when I was starting the Black Law Society, when I get the engagement from the student. When you're talking about doing your intervention, get students involved. If students are involved, like Wiktoria says, they come on board, they get involved. When it's their voice that's being heard, they say, yeah, okay. And you have to kind of picture this idea in your mind. First it was the telegram, then it was the telephone, then it was tell a woman, then it was tell a black woman. Everything take off. So find a student that you have a good rapport with, possibly a female black student or a female Asian student that you want to connect with, and tell them what you're doing. Get them to come on board with it, and you'll find that they spread it like wildfire amongst them friends, and those friends are going to come. And just a last little point to say, feed them and tell them on the poster, food are going to be there. If you feed them, I guarantee you they will come. And that's what we have to say. Thank you.